Hello everyone and welcome to my humble little Valheim world. Lately I've been playing a lot of Valheim with my friends, and during this time I really came to love this game, especially the building system. So a few days ago we defeated the Queen, which at the time of making this video is the last boss. So until the next big update we basically have finished this playthrough. And so I thought that this would be a perfect time to show what I have built during this playthrough. From, I guess, total noob that just installed the game and started it for the first time to a somewhat competent builder. Well, with all that being said, come along as I'll take you on a journey of all the bases I've built in this world. Just a short walk from the spawn point, we arrive at the first home. Though it didn't actually look like this. Originally it looked far more basic. Just a little wood house on top of this little hill, and worst of all, I built it on stilts. Because I didn't even know about the whole stability and support system in the game. Though after the roof seemed to magically always break, I did learn. So, once I felt more confident in my building skills later on in the playthrough, I just had to return to this house and rework it into something worth calling a home. And that's what the rebuilt house looks like. I completely removed the old structure and moved the whole thing a bit away from the top of the hill to a somewhat flat bit of land. So, and this is now the first house. I've built a little protective wall around it, nothing fancy, but just enough to do the job. Here's the gate, and yes, here we are inside. It's not a really big build, there's just one house here, nothing too complex, mainly wood. There's a stone foundation that I of course only built later on. At the point of when I built this as the first house, there was no stone available, but since I rebuilt it anyways, I just added the stone. But the rest is basically all wood. So let's just go inside, close the door, and yeah, here we have just some of the most basic stuff. Here on the right we have 4 beds. That's a reoccurring theme because I played this whole thing with 3 friends, so we were always 4 people and we always needed the 4 beds. So yeah, the 4 beds for all the players and some storage space up here. I don't know, it just felt like better that there's a little elevation in front of the window so you can actually watch outside what's happening. Same thing on the other side. Yeah, in the middle there's a cooking station just for the most basic cooking, and some crafting things, a forge, even an upgraded one, and a workbench, also upgraded, and you know, some tables to sit, to eat the food and so on. And on this side again some storage, and I added some decoration, like up there and up there there's a banner, some rocks. That's about it. And on this side we have a little balcony or terrace or whatever you call it, just to sit out here and look out into the trees. Nothing too fancy. It's just a little basic home. Meant to be a starter home, nothing more. So if we go outside, again there's one way down to the gate and further down to wherever you want to go, and if you can see it, but straight down there there's the spawn point where we started this whole thing. So if you want to change your powers, it's not that big of a walk. But up here there's another little thing. First there's a little bench. If you want to look down into the valley. But the more important thing is here the teleporter that brings you to the teleporter hub, but more on that later. Pretty soon after building this first house, or well, I guess this first house, my friends and I realized that this wasn't really the best position for a base. So I searched for a new location. I settled for this beautiful little plot of land. Flat terrain which made building far easier, close to the Black Forest and most importantly at the coast, so we could go out into the sea. I still didn't know much about building in the game though, so I stayed pretty close to the building design of the ruined houses that are scattered throughout the meadows. So, and next we have the village. This was my first actual somewhat big build. It's again with a pretty basic wall around it, just to stop the basic enemies from walking in, though they can still swim around because of the water. But yeah, just going around here we have a small house that actually doesn't have any function, it's just a workbench in here. So, just a decorative house, but it's supposed to be a little farm here, with some beehives, and a little carrot field. Originally I wanted to make it bigger with time, but I kind of forgot, and in the end I've built a second farm at a different house, but you will see about that later on. Yeah, then... yeah, let's continue first with... let's continue with this house here. That's the... I guess like the workshop house. We have all the basic things you need to craft stuff. A furnace, some storage for the coal. And inside there is a workbench, upgraded one, and a forge, also upgraded. Some storage for ores and metals. And that's basically it in this house. Yeah, I think I'll just show you all this stuff first and then talk a bit more about the whole building aspect. Of course, a little fun thing here is a trash can, as I like to call it, on this little pedestal. Originally here was a teleporter, but well, you will see where that has gone. So next house is the storage house, I guess, with some decoration around it, but mainly we have a lot of crates inside with all the stuff that you could need. A workbench, though this one isn't actually upgraded, so for the main crafting you would need to go into the other house. But yeah, that's all the stuff. And sadly, in all the houses I've built, this is the only really organized storage space, because after that, you will see there's usually more of a chaos. There still is a... It's not like just everything is everywhere, but it's not as organized as it is here with all the shelves and the signs. So yeah. That's the storage house, and of course the big house, and the most important house is, I guess, like the great hall, the big hall, the for a time biggest hall I've built, and considering that it's only woods, it is pretty big. So yeah, this is the living space, the living house, whatever, with, again, 4 beds, the cooking stations, this time even with a cauldron for even more cooking, and some storage space for all the food, a fermenter for, I think we needed it for the frost potions, because there's actually a mountain pretty close, and a cartographer's table. So, getting out on this side, yeah, here I actually added some decoration on this side. And yeah, you can't see it, but over there, behind these trees, there's actually just a mountain. So, even though it was like the first, or yes, the second house, we returned here quite a lot for the mountain biome, because it's pretty near. We could get the silver up there and then come here into the village to actually smelt the ore and create silver equipment. Yeah. Then in front of here we have a little harbor, I guess. Again with like a decorative house with only a workbench in it. And here's just some boats. Just very basic. It just needs to work. It's not all that fancy. Yes, and the whole thing here, again, it was the second house, the second home I've built, so it is pretty basic. It's also just wood, so it was very limited in what I could actually build, both in size and in the forms that existed. Yeah, and of course, it's not really that much decoration. It's mostly just, again, it just needs to work. I didn't really care or know that much about decoration. And most of the decorative aspects of this whole village were added later on. So then, of course, the last building, and I purposely left this for the last, is... Oh no, of course, the most important thing, the main attraction, is this. The Troll of the Lake. Because even though I've built a huge storage house and later on a trash can, some people in my team just like throwing stuff in the sea instead of being responsible. Oh well. Yeah, but the final building is something I added later on, because as I told you before, there was a teleporter up on this little pedestal thing, but at some point I realized that I needed like a portal hub because it just got out of hand. Yeah, probably a somewhat unnecessary bridge because you can just walk outside, but you know, it just felt right. Also, it's a bit more decoration than everything else in this whole village, because at that point I just tried some more things. And here is also the actual house with, again, some more decoration than before, like these beams outside, which don't actually have a purpose, except of course looking like something. And here inside, yeah, you can already see we have stone, we have more rocks, we have just generally more decoration. Yeah, and that's basically the village. We have here the one to despawn, and you know what, I know it's German anyways, but I'm just not going to show you that much, because most of these teleporters, we will go through those, and yeah, I will show you what's there. Some of them not really, because they're just teleporters, like the one that says trader, that's literally just a teleporter in front of the trader. There's nothing to show there, it's just, yeah, just a functional teleporter, that's it. This little village was our home for quite some time. But after defeating the Elder, our search for the swarms forced us to new and different islands. Now this was the first build where I really wanted to learn more about building in this game, and so I searched for videos and tutorials that could help me get a better understanding of the building system, and by doing so, become a better builder. What you see here is basically just me following the instructions of a building tutorial by 9byte. There are some differences since I wanted to actually use this house in a game and didn't care as much about decorations as he did, but overall it's basically the same. So, and here we are in the Swamp Manor. Well, we are not actually in the swamp is a little over there. I think you can see the swamp trees in the distance. But it was close enough to be in the swamp very quickly, but also still be secure enough to, well, not be in the swamp, because the swamp is horrible. Because everything is always wet and the enemies are just worse than here, so... If possible, I always try to build in the more secure biomes. So yeah, here's the mansion or manor or house, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's already getting dark. Oh boy, I need to speed up this whole thing. Yeah, first of course the outside here. As I said, the actual build was heavily inspired, well, not inspired, but I actually just built a tutorial. I followed a building tutorial. But the outside I built myself, of course. That wasn't part of the tutorial. And you know what? I think I'm going to sleep and continuing it tomorrow, huh? So, after a good night's rest, I'll continue this little showcase. It's still a bit dark, the sun is just rising. I didn't want to wait here, so I think I'm going inside first. Yeah, we have just the entrance. If you wish to know everything about this build, probably better to just watch the tutorial video, because there you learn everything about this whole build and how to actually create it. But yeah, I did make, of course, some changes, especially inside with the decoration and just the whole interior decoration and some functionality. But I'll get to that. So in the middle here we have a fire with some cooking stations. The first thing you probably see in this house is a lot more decoration than in the village or in the first home. So here we already have some, I guess, mannequins with some armor, some old armor that's not used anymore. A lot of rocks at the floor, some fermenters, a little table area for drinking and eating, and even a little bar with all the meat. It's actually a little hidden meat crate, and again, storage for food. And this is like the crafting area with some somewhat organized storage. And here the workbench, again upgraded, and a upgraded forge. Everything we needed at the time to, well, do stuff with iron, because iron was like the main thing, of course, in the swamp. And then as we go upstairs, here is the sleeping area. 2 beds on this side and 2 on this, again with some old armor on this side. And just like this whole wall is just storage with no signs of any kind, but it did have some kind of order inside them. Yeah. But up here I did like completely different stuff than in the tutorial build, mainly because I actually needed to use this whole thing. I think in the tutorial the beds were back here, but that just didn't work, because when you can sleep, but once you wake up, you're stuck in the roof. That's no good. So I just made it like a little hidden, more or less hidden, or I guess private drinking area, and same on the other side. Just sit here and, you know, enjoy your peace and quiet. And up here there's a little balcony. We can watch down into the rest of the house, of the garden. Yeah, and it's just a nice little view, I think. And up here there's a lot different, because I think in the tutorial build there was like the same balcony on the other side, which in retrospect would have been nice because you could see down out into the ocean on the other side. But the problem is that in that build you had a bridge from here on the other to the other side, and then actually a bridge from like the middle up to these little, well, this but also balconies. But because I have a fireplace, it didn't really work this way, so I just left this whole thing out, and these two side balconies just became like little windows with some torches. Yeah. I think it looks awesome, even if it's not as decorated as the original. Just generally, I have a lot less decoration than the tutorial. Like also these wooden beams are just far fewer things than there. I think I also made the windows a bit different. Oh well. And of course the outside, now it's bright as day out here. There is the whole smelter area. Try to work with some different elevations here to make it a bit more interesting. And I mean, that's basically it. It's all that was needed. And of course, again, we have a teleporter. This time with a different kind of house over it, though it's not actually a roof. But it just always tries to make some different things, like not always use the same structure around the teleporter. Like the first time it was this round roof. The second one, of course, was the portal hub. I don't know what it's even supposed to be. After defeating Bone Mass, we once again moved on in search for a new home, and I was eager to now use what I had learned during this step-by-step tutorial and build my own home. That had to wait though, since I didn't actually need to build a new base for the mountain biome, because the starting island already had quite a few mountains on it, and the village already had everything needed to work with silver. But soon enough, Moda was slain, and we sailed off to unknown lands in search for new adventures in the plains. If you enjoyed this video, let me know and leave a like and comment if you have any feedback. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching!